Right now, millions of Americans are checking their bank accounts, wondering if they'll see an unexpected deposit this November. The buzz around $2,000 checks has Social Security recipients asking critical questions. Is this real? Who qualifies? And most importantly, when will the money arrive? Let me cut through the confusion, because what you're hearing might not match reality. President Trump has made headlines with discussions about economic relief, but the details matter more than ever for those living on fixed incomes. We're talking about potential stimulus payments, tariff rebate proposals, and changes that could directly impact your monthly budget. Here's what's actually happening behind the political promises. The relationship between trade policies, government spending, and direct payments to citizens creates a complex picture that deserves honest explanation. Whether you receive Social Security retirement, disability, or SSI benefits, understanding the difference between proposed ideas and actual signed legislation could mean the difference between planning your finances accurately or falling for misleading information. In the next few minutes, I'm breaking down the real facts about November payments, what's been officially approved versus what's still being debated, and exactly what you need to know to protect yourself from misinformation. Let me be completely transparent with you right from the start. The headlines you're seeing about Trump signing off on $2,000 checks for November 1st need serious clarification, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening, what's not happening, and why there's so much confusion surrounding this topic. The truth is always more nuanced than a catchy headline, and when it comes to your financial security, you deserve to know the complete picture without any sugarcoating or political spin. First, let's address the elephant in the room. As of right now, there is no officially signed legislation that guarantees every Social Security recipient will receive a $2,000 check on November 1st. I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, especially if you've already started planning how to use that money. But staying grounded in facts is the only way to make smart financial decisions. What we're actually dealing with is a combination of proposals, political discussions, and ideas that are floating around Washington, some of which have merit, and some of which are being misrepresented by various sources trying to get your attention or your click. Now, does that mean there's absolutely nothing to these stories? Not necessarily. President Trump has indeed discussed various forms of economic relief throughout his political career, and the concept of stimulus payments isn't new to American politics. We saw multiple rounds of stimulus checks during the pandemic, and those payments were real, verifiable, and helped millions of Americans get through an incredibly difficult economic period. The challenge we're facing now is distinguishing between what's being proposed, what's being seriously considered by Congress, and what's actually been voted on and signed into law. These are three very different stages in the legislative process, and conflating them leads to exactly the kind of confusion we're seeing right now. Let's talk about how stimulus payments actually work in our governmental system, because understanding the process helps you identify what's legitimate and what's premature celebration. For any direct payment to reach your bank account or mailbox, Congress must first propose the legislation, then both the House of Representatives and the Senate must pass it, and finally the President must sign it into law. Only after all those steps are completed does the Treasury Department and the IRS begin the process of actually distributing funds. This entire journey typically takes weeks or even months, and it involves countless debates, amendments, compromises, and political negotiations. When you hear about a payment coming on a specific date like November 1st, you should immediately ask yourself whether all these legislative steps have actually been completed or if someone is jumping the gun on reporting. The concept of tariff rebates is another piece of this puzzle that deserves careful examination. The basic idea behind tariff rebates is that when the government collects money through tariffs on imported goods, some of that revenue could theoretically be redistributed back to American citizens. It's an interesting economic concept that has been discussed in various forms over the years. Tariffs are essentially taxes on goods coming into the country, and they're designed to protect American industries and generate government revenue. The amount of money collected through tariffs can be substantial, running into billions of dollars annually, depending on the trade policies in place. The question becomes whether that money should go into the general fund to pay for government operations, or whether some portion should be returned directly to taxpayers as a form of rebate. Here's where things get particularly interesting for Social Security recipients. Any discussion about broad-based economic relief naturally includes questions about whether seniors on fixed incomes should be prioritized or included in these payments. The reality is that Social Security beneficiaries were included in previous stimulus payments during the pandemic, and there's a strong political incentive to include them in any future relief packages as well. Seniors represent a significant voting bloc, and politicians from both parties understand that economic relief for retirees is popular policy. However, popularity doesn't automatically translate into legislative reality, and good intentions don't pay your bills. What matters is whether the actual money has been appropriated and the payment system has been authorized to distribute it. Let's examine what kind of payments Social Security recipients might actually expect in the near future based on confirmed official information. Your regular Social Security benefit will continue to arrive on its normal schedule, which depends on your birth date and when you started receiving benefits. These payments are guaranteed by law and backed by the Social Security Trust Fund. Additionally, there will be a cost of living adjustment that was announced for 2025, which means your monthly benefit will increase to help offset inflation. This COLA increase is real, it's been officially announced, and it will show up in your payment amount. This is the kind of concrete information you can actually plan around because it's gone through the entire legislative and administrative process. Now, regarding special one-time payments or stimulus checks, the situation is much murkier. Various proposals have been floated by different politicians and think tanks, ranging from inflation relief payments to tax rebates to various forms of economic stimulus. Some of these ideas have genuine support in Congress, while others are more aspirational or designed to generate media attention. The key question you should always ask is not whether someone is talking about a payment, but whether that payment has been voted on and approved through the official legislative process. Talk is cheap in Washington, and proposals are abundant, but actual signed legislation is what determines whether money flows into your account. The timing aspect of these claims is particularly problematic. When you see a headline claiming that checks are coming on a specific date like November 1st, that should immediately raise red flags unless you can verify that the payment has been fully authorized and the distribution timeline has been officially announced by the Treasury Department or Social Security Administration. These agencies are the ones responsible for actually getting money to you, and they always announce payment schedules well in advance through official channels. If you're not seeing confirmation on the official Social Security website or through official government press releases, then any specific dates you're hearing about are speculative at best and misleading at worst. I want to shift gears for a moment and talk about why these misleading stories spread so quickly and why they're particularly harmful to seniors. The unfortunate reality is that content about stimulus checks and government payments generates enormous attention online. People are understandably interested in anything that might put extra money in their pockets, especially during times of economic uncertainty or rising costs. This creates an incentive for some content creators and news outlets to publish sensational headlines that promise more than the facts actually support. They might take a grain of truth, like a politician discussing the possibility of stimulus payments, and blow it up into a headline that suggests the payment is imminent and guaranteed. This isn't journalism, it's manipulation designed to get clicks and views. The harm this causes goes beyond simple disappointment. When you hear that a $2,000 payment is coming on a specific date, you might make financial decisions based on that information. You might delay paying a bill, make a purchase you otherwise wouldn't make, or turn down other forms of assistance because you think this windfall is coming. Then when the payment doesn't materialize because it was never actually approved, you're left in a worse financial position than before. This is why accuracy matters so much when we're discussing government benefits and payments. People's real lives and financial stability are at stake. So what should you actually do with information like this when you encounter it? The first step is always to verify through official sources. The Social Security Administration has a website at ssa.gov where they post official announcements about benefits and payments. The IRS website at irs.gov is where you'd find information about tax-related payments or rebates. These official government sources might not have the flashiest headlines, but they have something far more valuable, which is accuracy and reliability. If a payment has been approved and is being distributed, these sites will tell you about it clearly and directly. If you don't see the information there, it's probably not real yet, regardless of how many YouTube videos or Facebook posts claim otherwise. Another important strategy is to pay attention to the language being used in these claims. Words like proposed, discussed, could, and might are very different from approved, signed, and will be distributed. When someone says a payment could happen, they're speculating about the future. When they say it will happen on a specific date, they're making a factual claim that should be verifiable through official sources. Learning to parse this language helps you separate genuine news from premature speculation or outright misinformation. I also want to address the broader context of why stimulus payments and economic relief remain popular topics of discussion. The reality is that many Americans, including a significant number of seniors, are struggling with the rising cost of living. Grocery prices, utility bills, healthcare costs, and housing expenses have all increased substantially over the past few years. For people living on fixed Social Security incomes, this creates genuine financial pressure. The cost of living adjustment helps, but it doesn't always keep pace with the actual increases in expenses that people experience day to day. This economic stress creates both a legitimate need for additional relief and an environment where people are particularly susceptible to wishful thinking about incoming payments. Politicians understand this dynamic, which is why proposals for various forms of economic relief continue to be introduced and discussed. Some of these proposals have real merit and genuine support. Others are more symbolic, designed to show constituents that their representatives are fighting for them, even if the proposals have little chance of actually passing. And some fall somewhere in between, representing ideas that might eventually become law, but need significant work, compromise, and political negotiation before they can move forward. The challenge for citizens is distinguishing between these different categories and not treating every proposal as if it's already a done deal. Looking forward, is it possible that some form of additional payment could be approved in the future? Absolutely. Economic conditions change, political priorities shift, and unexpected events can create momentum for relief legislation that didn't exist before. If economic conditions worsen, or if there's a particular crisis that demands a governmental response, we could certainly see new stimulus payments authorized. However, predicting when or if this will happen is impossible, and anyone claiming to know for certain is either guessing or misleading you. What you can do is stay informed through reliable sources, understand how the legislative process works, and make financial decisions based on what's confirmed rather than what's speculated. In the meantime, focus on what you can control and what you know for certain. Your regular Social Security benefit will continue, and you'll receive the cost of living adjustment that's been announced. If you're struggling financially, explore other assistance programs that are already available and don't require new legislation, such as SNAP benefits for food assistance, assistance with Medicare premiums through programs like Extra Help, or state and local programs designed to help seniors with utilities and other expenses. These existing programs might not be as exciting as headlines about $2,000 checks, but they provide real accessible help right now, rather than making you wait for something that might never come. The bottom line is this: be skeptical, verify information, and don't make financial decisions based on unconfirmed reports about incoming payments. Your financial security is too important to risk on speculation and sensational headlines.